First you grow it, then you eat it. I'm going to show you how to make this delicious pork sandwich using pork, onions, and tomatoes that I grew right here on my homestead. Let's go! I'm Becky. I used to live in the consumer rat race just like you. But one day I had enough, so I sold it all, moved to the country, and built my own log cabin with my own two hands. Now I spend my time discovering new ways to live a simple, healthy lifestyle with more free time and way less stress, then sharing what I've learned with you. Welcome to Becky's Homestead. A lot of people ask me what to grow in their garden. What I like to tell them is grow what you like to eat. Today, that's exactly what I'm going to make. Things that we like to eat that we can grow in our homestead. The last time I had my pig butchered, I decided to make ground pork so I could use it in spaghetti sauce or burgers or whatever. So today, we're going to make pork burgers. And it's just going to be like a hamburger, but really we're using our homegrown pork. And then we have onions from the garden and tomatoes from the garden. So it's going to be a super burger. I've made these before and they're just dynamite. So I'm going to show you how. All right, you're just going to need a bowl. And you're going to need some olive oil. Of course, the onions from the garden. If you can grow them, that's even better. But, you know, if not, you can buy them. Paprika, garlic, fresh ground pepper, and salt. And here is how the pork comes packaged when we pick it up from the butcher. Homegrown pork, 1 pound. Also, I forgot to grab, which I'm going to get over here, just so everybody can see, 2 farm fresh eggs go in this recipe. We cook it in the cast iron frying pan. We love to cook, and I'm just so happy with the cast iron. I just stick with it. So we have our 2 cast iron pans here. I'm going to turn the stove on to get the onion pan hot while I'm chopping the onions. All right, and here we go. I'm just going to chop these up. This, since it's going to be for a sandwich, you don't have to chop it up too small. And if you make extra, these are nice. You can just keep them in the fridge in a little container. You can put it on eggs in the morning. Just anything. If you're cooking meat, a pork chop or something. Once you make these burgers, you are not going to want to go out for burgers again. Everybody's going to want to stay home and eat homemade ones. I just love my homestead. That was my goal from the beginning, was to raise as much of my own food as possible. And now I'm actually doing it and eating it. It's just a thrill to me. And I'm happy to share this with you. And I hope this encourages more people to do it, because I just don't think you'll be, disappointed. I think you'll be thrilled and happy. And when you put food on the table that you grew, it's extra tasty and delicious. I didn't say that very good. It's extra tasty and delicious. Okay, so these onions, you don't have to cut them too perfect because they're just going to be cooked up for a sandwich. So it doesn't matter. And they don't have to be, small pieces either. So just, kind of cut them up like this, kind of coarsely. My pan is over here hot and warmed up. I'm going to get some olive oil, which makes them delicious too. And I'm going to grab a spoon to help me grab these onions. And I'm going to, and there's a little sizzle. I don't know if you can hear that. That's how you want to saute them. You don't want it to really snap and crackle. Now my pan is a little small because I'm putting a lot of onions in there.
It'll cook down.
But it'll cook down and we'll manage. Onions cooked in olive oil. That's got to be good, right? Okay, I have to be careful. I know I'm going to spill them because it's right up to the top. All right, and what I do next is I put salt in there. Little fresh ground pepper too, which we like pepper, so I'm going to put kind of a lot of pepper. And then you just have to be patient and let that cook down. And you don't want it to cook too hot. So as long as you hear a little sizzle under there, that's good. You want to cook them on about medium. Everybody's stove is a little different, so you really want to tell by the way you're hearing. So you just want to hear a little sizzle. I'm going to turn the frying pan on for the burgers. Now these burgers you want to cook pretty hot. So it's going to be medium high. And I'm going to let that heat up. I'm going to give the onions a little stir. They're starting to sweat, they say. I don't know about anybody else, but I really, really, really like grilled onions. They're even better when you grow them yourself. Truly, truly tastier. I'm gonna pull the onions back so you can see all the liquid in there. That's how it starts when you're cooking your onions down. There was just a little tiny bit of olive oil, so now there's, you know, onion juice in there now. That's all flavor. You wanna saute the onions so they're not crunchy. When I put them on a sandwich, I don't want them to be crunchy. I want them to be soft. So you can see they're getting transparent, so they're getting softer, but they're still a little crunchy. So I'm gonna keep cooking these a little longer. Okay, I have all my ingredients in the bowl here. This is already mixed up. It has all the ingredients in there. So what's in there? I'm just gonna go over it with you. 2 eggs in the pound of ground pork. Then I put salt. Salt it, you know, however much you like. Don't forget the salt and pepper though. That really adds a lot to your cooking. The fresh ground pepper is in there. I put garlic in there. And then I put a little paprika in there. And then once that's all in the bowl, mix that up good. I'm gonna stick my hands in here so you can see. This is a very wet mixture. It's not dry. Some people might think, oh, you need to add breadcrumbs to that. I don't do that, and I'm gonna tell you why. So as you can see, it barely holds like a patty together. It's that moist, just so it barely holds together. And if you do that, I think it cooks better. I think it tastes better on the sandwich. It's not a big, heavy, dense burger. It's like a light sandwich, a light burger. Even though you're having a burger, it's light and it's so good. And it allows the flavor of the onions and the tomato to come through. You're not only tasting the meat. All right, I'm gonna pour a little olive oil, just enough so they don't stick. My pan's very hot, as you can see, and you don't really want it that hot. Ooh, because olive oil is kind of stinky if it's too hot. That was a mistake. Becky starts a fire. As you can see, we're real around here, okay?
I'm not perfect.
I'm far from perfect. We eat our mistakes though, I must say. So this is very, very, very moist. I make it big because I like the burger to be thin, but to cover the entire piece of bread, which I'll tell you about the bread in a minute. Okay, so you can't even hold it on its edge. You gotta kind of plop it in here. So I'm gonna do that, and that gives a good sizzle. And I'm gonna put 2 of them in there. That's about all I have room for. Okay. I'm gonna plop this one in here. And then it's so wet, as you can see, you can just easily squish it down while it's in the pan. So you want it kind of thin, big and thin. It's gonna help hold your tomatoes and your onions once it's on the bread. I'm gonna wash my hands with soap and water, and then I'm gonna put that back on the burner. It's settled down a bit so the smoke detector doesn't go off. I think the onions are done, so I'm gonna turn the onions off. And this is what they're gonna look like when they're done. All the liquid cooked out and condensed down. So that's just, oh, just a pan of flavor. While the burgers are cooking, what I do is I just go ahead and grab the toaster, because I like to toast the buns. And of course, this is just a cheap old toaster. Nothing fancy, but it sure does make a delicious sandwich. These are Kaiser rolls, but these are light Kaiser rolls, in the sense that they're not dense, heavy bread. It's a very light roll, and as you can see, it's really big. So that's why I made the burgers big. If I made a big, heavy, dense burger and put it on this huge roll, that would be just too big and too much. So it works out perfect with the light burger, how I told you, make it wet, and then make it big so it fits on the Kaiser roll. The Kaiser roll is like just enough to hold the sandwich together. It's not a lot of bread and it's not heavy bread. So I'm going to cut that exactly down the middle because you want the bottom part to be pretty big so it can hold up the sandwich. And then I always get the crumbs off it so it doesn't make the toaster smoke. Okay, so it's very light, like I said. So I'll put those in there and I'll just have that ready, even though I'm not going to push it down yet. The key with a wet burger and how to flip it is you have to make sure it's cooked enough on the bottom or it'll just fall apart when you try to flip it. So these I've cooked quite a bit, and ooh, if I don't flip it quick, which that's not quite as brown as I'd like, so I'm going to flip this one as well very carefully. I'm going to flip that one and then I'm going to turn the heat up because I'd like them to be a little more seared than that. And so I turn that heat up. Okay, and while those are continuing to cook, I'm going to slice my tomato. The burgers are almost ready. I'm going to push the bread down and then I'm going to cut up this tomato. This is a dull knife, and this tomato is so tender. Look at that. With a dull knife. And even though this isn't perfectly ripe, this is still going to be a tasty tomato. It's soft and juicy and tender. Okay, so look, I've cut, quite a bit, and that part doesn't go all the way through the tomato. So it just looks like it's part of a stem or whatever. As soon as the toast pops up, I get the bottom piece, which I guess I'm burning everything today. This is a little, although some people like it crunchy. My husband always wants the burnt piece, so. And I'm going to put the burger right on the cheese. Now, I tried very, very hard to make the burger the exact size as the bun, and you can see that I did that. That's very important. It makes the sandwich way better. And then the next step, there's room for 2 tomatoes because it's a big flat burger. So put 2 tomatoes down. Next are your delicious sauteed onions. So I'm going to put quite a bit of those on there because they're very good. And if a few fall off, they can pick them up with their fingers. So be generous with them. And then to top it off, what I use to add just a tiny bit of flavor and twang is Dijon mustard. So I'm going to show you. You don't want to overdo it with the mustard though. Just a little like this, a little drizzle of mustard on the top. And then you put the lid on it. This is a light burger, and you're going to taste the onion and the tomato and everything, and it just congeals together so good. It's just so tasty and delicious. I'm going to cut it in half, and there's 2 tomatoes, so each half will get a tomato. So if you have kids, and they might not eat the whole huge burger, you can just cut it in half and give, each child half. Okay, here we go. It is so good. I can't even tell you how good it is. You have to try it. Scott says take another bite, so gladly. First you love it, then you live it. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye. I need a napkin.
Sign up for Becky's Homestead newsletter. Go to beckysHomestead.com and sign up on the right. You'll get articles, news, and specials from Becky every month. Unsubscribe anytime, no spam.
Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or suggestions, please email me and Doodles. Happy homesteading. Bye-bye.